In 1984, Kenner released the Superpowers collection, and with it, this Wonder Woman. Two toy companies have attempted to continue their legacy. DC Comics Superheroes by Toy Biz, and the all-new Superpowers by McFarlane Toys. Which Wonder Woman is the worthy successor to the original Superpowers collection? Place your bets and stick around. This versus may just surprise you. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Starting off with the packaging, and each company's approached their figure differently. Toy Biz absolutely created their own brand with the DC Comics superheroes. They'd go on to do the same with much greater success with Marvel. Note, however, that they did keep the red stripe and yellow stars of the Superpowers packaging, and for some reason there's a gap in it. Also similar to Superpowers, we have some very large comic book art on the side. I don't know if this was taken from a specific comic, or if it was key art provided by DC Comics, or if it was drawn by the company, but either way it's a very solid classic Wonder Woman. There's also a metallic sheen that's pretty nice too. Power Arm! Throws golden lasso. Flipping her around back, and I really like this. We get a nice product shot displaying the action feature, and down here the bio's presented as an article in the Daily Planet. That's pretty clever. Other figures include Superman, Lex Luthor, Penguin, Riddler, Mr. Freeze, and Robin. Switching over to McFarlane, and this is a more literal translation of the original Superpowers packaging. It's bright blue with the Superpowers logo, the yellow and red star-spangled banner, and a 4-color image of Wonder Woman on the side. One nice little touch is that they have the classic McFarlane logo from the 90s in lieu of the Kenner logo. The back looks like a Kenner Superpowers as well. Whip out your magnifying glass so you can see all the figures available, and over here we get a bio. McFarlane has done an incredible job of recreating this card, and it was absolutely the right choice to make, but if I'm honest with myself, I really do like this one better. I enjoy how the figure is shown off, I like how much clearer the other figures are displayed, and the use of the Daily Planet's a nice bit of world building. For packaging, this round goes to Toy Biz. Moving on to presentation, and starting with Toy Biz, she stands at just under 4¼ inches. This figure is so similar to the original Kenner that at first glance you might think it's the same one. Putting them side by side, the differences become immediately apparent. I've heard that these figures reused molds from Superpowers, but I don't think that's actually the case. Not in the way that people mean anyway. What I think happened is that they made their own molds based on the Superpowers figures and then resculpted from there. Notice how much smaller this Wonder Woman is. Notice also the difference in the cut of the shoulder articulation, and then also note the similarity in the legs, specifically the seam lines. You'll notice that the original Superpowers Wonder Woman is pinless. This leg is actually hollow, made of 2 pieces stuck together in the middle. This was to accommodate the mechanism for her action feature. That means that this leg was made using 2 separate molds. This Wonder Woman's action feature has nothing to do with her legs. As you can see, they're pinned. This leg was solid, meaning it was made using only 1 mold. And this seam line is a holdover from when Toy Biz made their own cast of the original Kenner leg. Complicating matters is this 1988 drink cup holder from Burger King. Accounting for the stand, they're the exact same height. The slightly shorter, stockier torsos are identical. Here's the original Superpowers for comparison. And they also have the same thicker arms. Also the same smaller head. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure where all this came from. By contrast, the McFarlane figure stands at just over 4½ inches. As is par for the course with this line, it makes her bigger than the original. That being said, the original was kind of on the short side. With that in mind, look at just how much smaller Toy Biz is. In that regard, the new one stands toe-to-toe with the other members of the Trinity. From the top, and this is hands down the best face sculpt we've seen so far in McFarlane's Superpowers line. Also, is it just me or does she kinda look like Laura Legends? Shame that they didn't paint the star though. Not pointing fingers, but even Toy Biz did that. And it's not like it wasn't on the card art. But yeah, we do need to talk about this card art. Based on the armor and the boots, this is clearly a Rebirth design. And if there was any doubt about that, the barcode even says so. And while the boots are clearly Rebirth, and the torso armor is clearly Rebirth, for some reason she has the classic version's trunks. So it kinda looks like Rebirth Wonder Woman running around in her underwear. Compared to Toy Biz, I will say that McFarlane spared no expense on the painted on stars. If they hadn't sculpted in these armor lines, and just given her classic boots, this could have honestly passed as a very solid pre-New 52 Wonder Woman, similar to their Superpower Superman. See what I mean, by the way, in reference to the improvements to the face sculpt? Speaking of improvements, I have got to talk about the cape. The first thing you'll notice is that there isn't a hole in it. it. It's also a much softer, much more flexible fabric. A sharp contrast to how tough and crinkly this was. This is just another example of McFarlane Toys listening. Again, I'm not saying that they're listening to me specifically, but again, I am really grateful. By the way, if you're wondering, that cape is removable and she does look really good without it. Also, if you're wondering, yes, you could give it to Superman. Just note that it doesn't have an S. Strictly speaking, this one does look more like Superpowers, by which I mean it looks like a clone whose genetic integrity is breaking down, and while this one's not entirely accurate to the source material upon which it's based, it's much better sculpted and better proportioned. For presentation, this round goes to McFarlane. Moving on to Posability, and while you might think this is an easy draw, that is not necessarily the case. Both figures have the same number of joints, but quality is not the same as quantity. For on the top, and both gals have a swivel neck, but whereas Toy Biz can barely look side to side, McFarlane has a very decent range. Moving down, they both have a shoulder swivel, and while the left arm is no problem at all for Toy Biz, the right arm is another story. Flipping her around, and remember that she has an action feature, because of that action feature you can't really pose this arm. McFarlane of course has no trouble in that department. Moving on down to the spangly panties, and they both have T-style swivel hips. This one can kick like so, and this one can kick like so. This one can bend at the knee, but only this deeply, and same on the other one. All the joints might be there, but sadly the range is not. For Posability, this round also goes to McFarlane. Moving on to Playability, and as stated before, the Toy Biz figure has a feature in the back. Nice to meet ya. This is in service to her golden lasso. It's just embroidery thread. According to the package, she can throw her lasso and, yep, she can do that. Not sure why she wants to throw it. Go get it! As for McFarlane, she comes with that nice new and improved cape, and that's it. Well, lasso would have been nice. I mean, maybe not this one in particular. It's interesting because she has an accessory holding hand, suggesting that there was supposed to be a weapon. And of course, I'm always down for my Diana to have a sword or a shield, but one thing she does have are peg holes. Toy Biz, unfortunately, does not, meaning that you can use the McFarlane one with one of the myriad DC Multiverse figure stands you no doubt have. But Playability is more than just flinging your lasso over your shoulder like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in The Last Jedi. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting off with my small-scale Wonder Woman collection, and here we have the original Superpowers, though I do feel like we've probably made this comparison enough by now. Here's that Burger King drink cup. Hard to believe the next time we'd see her in action figure form would be in the Hasbro JLA series. Here we have a Justice League animated style figure from Mattel. I think this one was for Justice League Unlimited, but I'm not 100% sure. Speaking of Mattel, and here we have DC Universe Classics. This series drew a lot of inspiration from Superpowers. For a similarly scaled Rebirth Wonder Woman, and here we have DC Icons. Here we have Mattel DC Comics Multiverse, and then here we have Spin Master. Pretty impressive amount of articulation they've packed into this little lady. For the rest of her super friends, and here we have the original Kenner Superpower Superman. Again, I feel like the McFarlane one scales a lot better with him than the original. Here we have Toy Biz's version of Superman, and here we have McFarlane. Is it weird that I feel like the new Wonder Woman looks better with the original Superpowers than this one? Anyway, completing the Trinity, and here we have the original Superpowers Batman, and the Hush style one by McFarlane. Here we have the Kenner version of the Flash, the Toy Biz version. Note the scaling difference between the Toy Biz Flash and Wonder Woman, the McFarlane version, and Spin Master. As for Green Lantern, here we have Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Here's the Kenner Aquaman, and the Spin Master Aquaman, and then here we have Martian Manhunter. Moving over to some villains, and here we have the Kenner Joker, the Kenner Penguin, Toy Biz Lex Luthor, Toy Biz Two-Face, the McFarlane Batman Who Laughs, the McFarlane Darkseid, and then rounding out the rest of this wave, here we have Deathstroke and Nightwing. For just a couple of figures from some other lines, and here we have the Secret Wars Iron Man by Mattel. These, of course, were contemporary to the Superpowers. And then for one of the more interesting comparisons, here we have the very first Spider-Man by Toy Biz, and then another Spider-Man they made just a year or two later. Really makes you wonder how Toy Biz could have improved on DC had they kept the license. For a relative scale comparison, here are the Wonder Women with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here they are with Stealth Iron Man. I love this figure and the fact that we're inching ever closer to a complete roster of the Justice League. That said, if all you're looking for is a stand-in for the original, this does better match the classic aesthetic, and good or not, does at least have an action feature. For Playability, this round goes to Toy Biz. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price, and the battle is tied. Although I got mine for only $15, new and packaged, the Toy Biz figure is going to set you back between $20 to $40. You can usually find her for a lot less at toy shows, but she will have paint damage and probably won't have her lasso. Also, not to be mean, but unless you really want this figure, I don't really know why you'd want to go out of your way to get her. The McFarlane figure is new, well done, and only costs $10, winning both this round and the battle 3-2. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.